You know, it all depends who you talk to about this famous name in hockey. With the LA Kings fans, he's considered one of their best players. With Montreal Canadiens fans, he's considered one of their worst coaches. But it's all a matter of conjecture because he didn't do too much in his tenure with Montreal, and but neither did Montreal with the other coaches. So it's 6 of one and a half dozen of the other. But there's no denying he was a great player. Played for Team Canada, was discovered by the Habs, became a key member of the Kings, and had many, many followers across North America. Of course, we're going to be talking about the very talented Bob Barry. Now, Bob Barry, born Montreal, Quebec, November 29th, 1943, a big 6 feet, 185-pound left winger, played 8 seasons in the NHL with the Habs and the Kings. Now, he also served as the head coach in the NHL for the Kings, the Canadiens, the Penguins, and the Blues. Now, born in Montreal, he began his junior career with the Peterborough Petes of the OHA before deciding to attend St. George Williams University, which is now Concordia University, in Montreal, where he played 3 years collegiate hockey in the old OQAAA, now the CIS. In '66, Barry decided to join Canada's national team and was later signed by the Montreal Canadiens to his first pro contract in 1965 at the age of 25. With the Canadiens having a deep roster left wing, Barry would only manage to suit up for 2 games with the Habs in '69. He spent the following year playing the AHL for the Montreal Voyageurs, and the Canadiens eventually sold his rights to the LA Kings, who he would have numerous deals with, in 1970, giving a better opportunity to earn a spot on an NHL roster. Barry joined the Kings the following year in '71 and redshirted 63 points in 73 games in his rookie season, placing him only 9 points back of eventual Calder Trophy winner Gilbert Perreault of the Buffalo Sabres. In '73, Barry scored a career-high 36 goals with the Kings and was selected to play in his first NHL All-Star game on January 30th, '73 at MSG in New York. Barry was then selected to play the All-Star game again the following year at the Chicago Stadium. He finished his NHL career with 350 points and 541 in regular season games. Now, after retiring as a player in '78 with the Springfield Indians, he returned to LA to become the 8th head coach in Kings history in 1979. He led the Kings to the Stanley Cup playoffs in each of his 3 seasons behind the bench. However, in each of those years, from '79 to '81, they were defeated in the preliminary round of the playoffs. Now, Barry eventually resigned as head coach at the end of the '81 campaign after the Kings posted a 43, 24, and 13 record and lost to the Rangers in the prelims. Despite his lack of success in the playoffs, Barry is credited with giving rise to the famed Triple Crown line during his tenure as head coach, putting Marcel Dion, Charlie Simmer, and Dave Taylor on the same line for the very first time in a game at the St. Louis Arena, the Joe Louis Arena, in '79 versus the Red Wings. Now, after the Kings, he moved on to take the head coaching assignment in his hometown of Montreal, replacing Claude Ruel behind the Canadiens bench to start the '82 NHL season. Despite winning 46 and 42 games respectively in his first 2 years at the helm, his Canadiens were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs in '82 by the Nordiques and in '83 by the Sabres. This would mark the 5th straight season he would lose in the first round of the playoffs as a head coach. With the team playing below 500 his 3rd year behind the bench in '84, he was eventually fired by the Habs and replaced by Jacques Lemaire, 63 games in the season. And this gave Montreal a great turnaround as he went within 2 games of making the Stanley Cup Finals, losing in 6 games to the Honors in the semifinals. To date, he is the last non-interim Canadiens coach who was not fully bilingual in English and French, though he spoke French well enough to have a simple conversation. Now, moving on to the Penguins, he was named the 9th head coach in Penn's history on June 4th, '84, a mere 5 days prior to the '84 NHL entry draft that was held at the Forum, in which Pittsburgh Penguins GM Eddie Johnson selected Mario Lemieux, who was first overall from the Laval Vuitton of the QMJHL. Even though Barry's new team drafted their future franchise player, he inherited a Penguins team that had failed to reach the playoffs the previous 2 seasons. That streak continued under his guidance for the next 3 seasons, as the Penguins missed reaching the playoffs for the 5th straight year in '87. He was eventually relieved of his head coaching position at the end of the '87 campaign on April 13 of that year. Now, with the Blues, he returned to coaching for the '89 season after a 2-year hiatus, this time joining the Blues coaching staff and assistant with Joe Micheletti under head coach Brian Sutter. He finally got a taste of playoff success behind the bench of the Blues when he defeated the Stars in their opening round of the playoffs 4-1. The Blues then faced the Blackhawks in round 2 but lost their series in 5 games. Now the Blues qualified the playoffs in the following 3 years. However, they were unable to advance past the second round in either of those years. He was eventually appointed GM of the Blues under GM Ron Caron in the summer before the start of the 93 season. The Blues then hired former St. Louis defenseman Bob Plager to take over the head coaching duties. Now, after the Blues got off to a slow start, Plager stepped down after a 6-4 victory over Barry's former team, the Penguins, on October 3rd, 1992. He took over the head coaching duties after Plager's departure, and from there, Barry helped the Blues reach the playoffs once again in the spring of 93. The Blues eventually swept the Blackhawks in the first round, and he finally made it in the second round of the postseason as the head coach of the NHL. However, his postseason success, as well as the Blues, were short-lived as Barry's team was knocked out in the second round by the Leafs in a hard-fought 7-game series that went the distance. He remained on as head coach of the Blues the next season, with Ted Sater joining the fold as an assistant. The Blues made the playoffs once again, but were swept in the first round by the Dallas Stars. The St. Louis Blues then named Mike Keenan head coach to start the 95 season, with Barry and Sater staying on staff as ACs. It remained status quo for the Blues, with Keenan and Barry behind the bench as they failed to advance past the second round the following 2 seasons. Now, 96 would be the final season behind the Blues bench. Now, leading off to San Jose, he was hired on as an assistant under head coach Daryl Sutter to replace the departed Roy Summer, teaming up with former Calgary Flame tough guy Paul Baxter, who was already in place as Sutter's other assistant. He spent 2 seasons in San Jose as an assistant under Sutter before retiring as an AC in 2000. Now, he currently serves as a pro scout for the Blackhawks, and he's also served as a pro scout for the Kings, the Blues, and the Ottawa Senators. Now, awards and achievements: he scored his first ever goal at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver Canucks inaugural game on October 9, 1970, and he played in his 1973 and 74 All-Star games. Now, his best season as a collegiate player, of course, was that grade 67 campaign where he had 89 points in 31 games. Also played with Team Canada that year on the international side. And best NHL season, of course, for a lot of people was that 73 campaign where he had 64 points, including 36 goals. Now, he also skated in the CHL with Fort Worth, and again the AHL with Springfield. Now, coaching record: divisional title with Montreal in 82, 46, 17, and 17, and that was his best season as a coach. Overall, 860 games, 384, 355, and 121. So, is of two minds because he was late entering the NHL, and his coaching results, especially in Montreal, were to a lot of people, not say unacceptable in the regular season, but in the playoffs. Losing to Quebec in 82, losing in 3 straight to Buffalo in 83 was again totally unacceptable. But with the 82 campaign, he went 46, 17, and 7 for one of their best seasons post Stanley Cup dynasty. Was hard to, like I said, hard bullet to swallow, as we say. So that's the story of Bob Barry, both as a player and as a coach. If you like what we're doing here with our vintage podcast, please let us know. A comment, like, or subscribe is always appreciated. And Happy New Year. Bye.